Hi, and welcome to Sacred Enzyme. This is Stacy, and thank you for joining me this morning. I was just talking in my last video about piezoelectricity and star forts from the old world. And there is a lady named Michelle Gibson on YouTube who's done so much research into the hijacking of our electric grid and when we had the Great Reset. And I have watched some of her episodes, and they're phenomenal. And she, along with a group of people, have come together to, to bring forth the evidence. And it's great because it's everywhere. It's absolutely everywhere. But, I was thinking about the star forts because it was... I think it was April. It was April that we visited St. Augustine. And we go to St. Augustine quite a lot because we're from Florida. So St. Augustine is a few hours away because I'm from the central portion of the state. And the portion of the state that I'm from was one of the only places in the whole state of Florida that was above water when there was a cataclysm that submerged a lot of these areas that were around the edge of the country. And from what I understand is that a meteor hit the Gulf of Mexico, but the state of Florida was completely buried except for where I'm from, which is Central Florida, and that was a sandbar. I'm currently reading a very old book. Excuse me, I'm going to reach over here and get it because I want to show it to you. I've been reading this book that I got from my public library. Now, this town that I live in is, it's pretty old. It's pretty old, but there are old world buildings that are here, that were already here. I can tell you that. We've got universities here that are very old. We have an extremely old hotel that's downtown, and I've never seen any of the construction photos, but we also have some old churches here. We have a very secretive community where I'm from, and it's called Mountain Lake Estates, and it's no surprise that it was either the Rockefellers or the Rothschilds were here. They lived here. They have homes. The Astors have homes here. The DuPonts, all of the uber rich people have homes in Mountain Lake Estates. And you can get a little peek of it online, but not much. It's very secluded, extremely old. But one thing I will say is that I used to work for I used to be a manager for a Fortune 500 company here. And so I have some insider knowledge of the ins and outs of this town. But there was one day, and I'll just get to it. There was one day that I was working and a regular customer came in that worked out there, and they were serving out there because they never do anything themselves. They always send their servants. And they were telling me about this guy that had to come out there and pick up a set of doors. And I guess it was a pain to haul them off because the man, I guess he didn't realize that the doors were like almost 20 feet tall. They were like 15 to 20 feet tall. So these houses out here are mansions, and you have to go through this extreme vetting process to even get a home out there. They have an armed guard. There's only, you have to go through a guard to get in or out. Nobody gets in. It's completely fenced, and it has trees hedging the whole exterior. You can't see in there, and it's very secure, very secure. No one gets in there. But there are some old places. There's also a place here called, used to be called Chalet Suzanne, and it's an old world structure. It's like a castle. And there's another place that has wedding venues now. It's Bella something, but it's on Great Masterpiece. But there are some very old places out here. I did do some videos on a place called St. Anne's Shrine, which is dedicated to St. Anne. And that's one of the things that I have been doing some research on lately is this Marian worship. And I wanted to credit Michelle Gibson with that because I was watching one of her videos and it just got me thinking that there are so many cities in the United States and counties that are named Marian. And I thought that was really weird because some of my family come from Marion County in Alabama, but there's also like Marion with an I-A-N, an I-O-N. I mean, there's a bunch of different ways, Y-A-N, Marianne. I mean, so is it Mary worship? Which brings me to the age of Lily. I think that these old world structures were built previously to the Hellenistic period by the civilization that was here before the ancient Greeks. And the reason that I feel that way is because of their complete and total understanding of geometry, the universe, the elements, alchemy, everything. They were totally versed classically in every way. But we had some cataclysms and all of these smart people went by the wayside. So there was only a few people to come back and teach the masses. So, a lot of people fell through the cracks. And I think that's how we lost a lot of this knowledge. But, it was still with the ancient Greeks. That's why they had such an advanced, developed pattern of speech. And their alphabet was very, very advanced. They had over close to 500,000 words in their vocabulary, which a lot of people think that Hebrew is the first language, but it's not. They had less words. They had a third of the words. I think that they had maybe a fifth of the words that ancient Greek did to describe things. That's why all the old books were written in Greek. Because Greek was a very descriptive and eloquent language. Your speech back then were like spells. What you said manifested. See, they understood the reality of the universe, that it's all magnetic. Opposites attract, right? You're going to get back what you keep putting out. Cause and effect. We learned all that basic stuff in school, right? The apple fell from the tree and hit him on the head, right? It was gravity, right? Every action produces an equal and opposite reaction. Some action has to be applied for something to go into motion. So it's basic. They understood it completely. They understood how the body worked. That's why all this old art from the Greek times, they were perfect. The bodies were perfect. That was because they ate to live. They didn't live to eat like we do now. We just seek total pleasure in our eating. We don't look at our body like it's a machine. They just got those bodies. They say that first we were etheric beings and that we've become more physically material as time has progressed. So, it's like when you get a new car, man. You're taking good care of that thing. You're about to wash the paint off of it. You're keeping the inside so clean nobody's about to eat. Nobody's eating in your car. No, knock your feet off before you get in my car, man. What are you doing? Don't leave your trash in my car. Don't leave your cup in my car, right? You're taking care of that new body. They want that body to last. Maybe that's why that King's List is so long. They just got those new bodies, those new physical bodies. They were taking care of those physical bodies. But back to what I was saying is I've been reading this book, and this book is actually the archaeology of early Central Florida before it was like all these people started moving here and tearing everything up, before all the founders came in. It was really early on, and this guy is talking about all of the fossils and stuff that they found. He said that they found fossils of rhinoceros in Central Florida. I didn't know we had any rhinos. I knew we had mammoths, and we had a lot of mammoth remains here. A lot of mammoth remains. Matter of fact, there is a Singing Tower. It's very famous that was built here, and I'm also going to do an episode on this. I have to learn how to properly do YouTube videos, because when I properly learn to do YouTube videos, I have so much content that I'm going to turn out. But I'm doing so many things at one time, but I'm constantly creating material that I want to share, that I think is really important for us to understand where we came from and how we can get back. How we can get back to being like we used to be when we were the best versions of ourselves, all those lifetimes back. When Mother Earth gave us everything we needed, and we knew how to use Mother Earth, and that all of the healing happened in here. We are the healing machine. We don't need all this other stuff. We need to use what Mother Earth gave us. The Mother gave us every natural prescription that we could possibly need. Every natural prescription for every ailment. But if we just learn how the body works, just how it works, that we could be a fine-tuned machine where we're living again. The opposite of live is evil. Live your life. Don't live to eat. Eat to live. Eat to be the best version of yourself, to tune in your radio, to clean up the crystals, Get in touch back with Mom. Get back in touch with the Mother. Go to nature. Heal what's burdening you. Feed your chakras. So this book is really interesting, and I would recommend that everyone, no matter where you live, there is fascinating stuff that everybody can be learning and sharing with each other. Go to your library and go to the old section where it has all the books on your founding fathers of your towns and everything, and look through the archaeology books. You'll find all kind of neat stuff. I am reading some really interesting stuff. I mean, it's blowing me away. And the other thing I've been studying, since I've been studying all this other stuff, I've been studying herbs and medicine and ancient pharmacology and things like that. And I ran across a doctor named Dr. D.C. Ammon Hillman. And he also, you can look him up on Google, but he also has a YouTube channel. I think it's called Lady Babylon. I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. But he is a scholar in ancient Greek language and linguistics, and also pharmacology and medicinal plants of antiquity. And he was transcribing from Greek to English pharmacological books for Harvard. I think it was Harvard or Yale. And the information that he unraveled was mind-blowing and earth-shattering, to say the least. And he gives you the translations, not the opinions. So if you go to check out his content, which I'm going to warn you is very controversial, and I know that I talk about controversial stuff here because, I've said in my videos, which, I'm careful how I express myself because I don't want to offend anybody or shut anyone off from listening. But I also feel like when you tune into the right frequency to receive the information that I'm giving, is that you'll be here and you'll seek me out. That's why we're all living in the past, the present, and the future at the same time. Because this content, when you see it, maybe 20 years old. But I'm talking to you right now in my present, right? So we're in the present, the past, and the future all at once. And the changes that you make today affect tomorrow, affect the future. The future is never set. The future is what we collectively make it. If we make, and if we can imagine an old world, like the old world that I imagine, with these beautiful buildings, with all of the healing and the piezoelectricity built into them, you know, can you imagine how beautiful a star fort must have looked at night with all of the bioluminescence flowing through the shape of a star? Could you imagine looking at that from a hot air balloon flying over, you know, just cruising over these beautiful star forts, and you know, and the electricity is free because it's coming from the earth. They're just harnessing it because they know about how the elements of the mother work, how the universe works, how the body worked. They understood totally and completely how to manipulate the vagal nerve system to produce an enzymatic byproduct in the glands, and they would excrete it from prepubescent boys and girls. So when you start learning more knowledge about the ancient alchemy and what some of these sects were doing to get the enzymes from the human body by manipulating the vagal nerve system, and also introducing toxins into the body. Wow, it's mind-blowing because they knew all of this, and it's disturbing that they went to the extent that they went to obtain it. And I'm not going to elaborate much more on that. You can watch Lady Babylon and get the translations of our first physician in history, Galen, Galen. He is transcribing Galen's books, and it talks about Jesus and Moses and all of their medical practices. And it also talks about his apostles and different areas in the Bible when these enzymes were being extracted and the reason that they were being extracted. So before I get off on a tangent about that too much, I was just thinking about those old world structures, and I was just thinking about the bioluminescence that must have happened from, you know, the crystals colliding in that shape with the water creating dipoles. So it had to have been bioluminescence in the shape of a star. I mean to tell you, what a fantastic scene that could be if you could just envision it. Flying in your little airship. You know, they had like these hot helium type air balloons, and then they had like the what do you call that, the Goodyear blimps. They flew along in these Goodyear blimps, and I can only imagine just riding in one of these airships, just streaming along slow and looking over a star fort and seeing the bioluminescence illuminating up. Oh man, breathtaking, right? And then they had these beautiful marble statues, you know, and then they had the mother, you know, with her 7-pointed star crown on, liberty, justice, you know. That was the mother, the first mother. And she's still here. And she's coming back. Some people call her Sophia. Some people call her Justice. Some people call her Madia. But I think it goes back a little further than Medea. So, but it, you know, it came through the Hellenistic period, and I think that that is where our old world structures come from. And I think that we're finding out more and more every day, and it's just absolutely fantastic. And, you know, I'm so happy to finally be in a time where I feel like I belong. I was raised with this spiritual mindset, and it was never a real popular one. You know, it was never popular to be the black sheep or the oddball or the strange person. And, you know, people think I'm strange. They think I'm strange now, and not everybody can handle me. But what can I say? I am what I am. I make no bones about what I am. There's no mystery to me. And, you know, I'm just an open-minded person. And I really feel like that I know in my heart I've been here many, 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 many times. And I know we all have a purpose. And I know that some people here are just kind of sitting back and waiting to try to figure out what it is that their purpose is. But I really encourage everyone to get in nature and get back to going to your library and getting books and reading books. Start reading books. And get off of the Facebook and the Instagram and all that stuff. You know, there's time and place for everything. I mean, we spend enough time on computers and stuff at work. But when we get home time, we should be trying to spend some time in nature and with our families. But with that, I just thought that that was an interesting little tidbit, and that, you know, Florida was underwater, and that Bok Tower Gardens is built on the one highest elevation point in Central Florida. And most people don't realize, but the Iron Mountain that Bok Tower Gardens Singing Tower sits on, which, by the way, is made out of all old world borrowed materials, because if you look at the tower itself, it's piecemeal. There's different kinds of books. I mean, different kinds of blocks of different, they don't go together. And I read the book that Edward Bok wrote himself, because he was a big time publisher. And so those of you who know anything about these old world building stories, you know what I mean. He came here as a child, and he became this highfalutin publisher for one of the biggest magazines in the country. Just like that. Really no education, nothing. It's incredible. It's just incredible how the opportunity. And then he came to Florida. He lived in Mountain Lake. Yeah. And then he built this tower. And then they had it dedicated. The president came down and dedicated it. But it has a Carillion tower in it. But only the top third of the tower was actually constructed. It does say that in the book. So that means that everything else was just assembled. And were the carvings on it even real? Or were they all borrowed? I'll let you decide that, because I did some pretty in-depth research there and took some really interesting pictures with my new eyes. But that area on top of Iron Mountain, where Bok Tower Garden sits, is the highest elevation point all the way up to, I think it's New Jersey. Yes, most people do not realize that. So if that gives you any indication of how much stuff was underwater when we had catastrophe, I mean, and it slowly, you know, receded back, but South Florida was all underwater. The Everglades was a lot bigger than it is now. They brought fill and filled all that land in. and took the natives off of their land. So, you know, the natives been here a long, long time. As a matter of fact, they were here at least 20,000 years. According to this book that I'm reading, there were shell mounds that they found here that they said would have taken a minimum of 20,000 years to build. 20,000 years. What happened to those shell mounds, huh? Where are they? I haven't seen any I haven't seen any shell mounds that big, but I'm sure if they're here, there's probably a golf course on top of them, right? Yeah, probably. Interesting. But we'll work it all out. We'll find out all this stuff. Put your eyes on. Go outside. Look for some old world structures. Be a natural detective. Ask questions. Go to the library. Read the books. Don't take what everybody tells you for face value or believe it. I mean, it will definitely make you curious, right? And as long as we stay curious, we're always learning. And there's one thing that you can never lose, and that's your knowledge. No one can ever take away your knowledge. No matter how rich or how poor you are, you'll always have it. So thanks for spending 26 minutes and listening to me ramble on about old world structures, piezoelectricity, crystals, archaeology, everything. We're going to just keep on talking and keep on finding. And thanks for coming and being with me here today. I'm happy that we're all learning. We're going on this journey together, because we don't turn this world around. We may have to go back to doing a lot of stuff ourselves, but you know what? Complete and total independence is going back to the beginning. We got to go back to the old ways. We've gotten way off track. So with that note, thanks for stopping in on Sacred Enzyme, and have a great day. Bye-bye.